everybody. This is Brian.
Jason.
And this is the Perfectly Screwed Podcast. Okay, so today, I'm just going to jump into it because I really have nothing else to say right now. But today we're going to talk about a spree killer.
Yeah.
Do you know what the difference is between a spree killer and a serial killer? Jason?
I'm guessing the amount of time between victims?
Correct.
Okay.
Right. Spree killers do it all in one shot.
Yeah.
They kill a lot of people.
Yeah.
Within a few days, they kill people. Compared to serial killers, where they might kill one person and then wait a little while, kill another person.
Yeah.
And that's why spree killers are much easier to catch, clearly, because, they're killing one after another after another. It's not too hard to figure out who the hell's doing it.
Yeah.
So we're talking about a very famous spree killer, Charles Raymond Starkweather. And Charlie Starkweather was, for all intents and purposes, completely out of his fucking mind. He was born November 24th, 1938.
Dude, you can just look at
Yeah. Buzz cut,
fucking kill.
Yeah, he's just a psycho.
Yeah.
You can just tell just by looking at him.
Sometimes you can just look at people and
Yeah.
that's a psycho.
Yeah.
And
As a matter of
what
fact,
this dude looks like.
what I will probably do, guys, when I post this episode, I'll throw a couple pictures of Starkweather up on our Facebook page, which, if you want to get on our Facebook page and join, it's just Perfectly Screwed. That's the name of the first Facebook, and then the second Facebook page is Perfectly Screwed Podcast. But either way, if you look up Perfectly Screwed or Perfectly Screwed Podcast, you can get on the Facebook page and you can see I'll post pictures of Starkweather when I post this episode. So he murdered 11 people in Nebraska and Wyoming between November of 1957 and January of 1958.
2 months.
2 months. He was getting it, boy. And this was when he was 19 years old. He killed 10 of his victims between January 21st and the 29th of 1958. Dude, look. Okay, he killed 11. But he only killed one between November and January. Okay?
Right.
Between January 21st and 29th, in an 8-day period, Jason, he killed 10 motherfuckers. 8 days, 10 people. That's got to be a record. It's
got to be close.
That's just a psycho. He was actually arrested January 29th, 1958.
Yeah, the date of his last killing, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
He also, at the time, he was 19 and had a 14-year-old girlfriend, Carl Ann Fugate, and she accompanied him on all the killings. So, she helped him, kill these people. Both Starkweather and Fugate were convicted on charges for their parts in the homicide. Starkweather was sentenced to death and executed 17 months after the events. Fugate served 17 years in prison and was released in 1976.
So they killed him pretty soon.
Yeah.
Seems like if a motherfucker's on death row nowadays, it's for years.
Well, come on. It was, look, there was no, how can you appeal it? They know he murdered 10 people in 8 days.
Right.
It's not really like you have any basis of appeal there.
Right.
He was just slaughtering one after another, man. So, he was executed by electric chair in 1959. Speaking of the electric chair, I find that to be a very humane way to die, actually. A lot of people say it wasn't, but I find the electric chair to be a very humane way to execute someone, and I'll explain why. I have got shocked by electricity. I've taken 220 to the head many times. And the thing is, it happens so quick that you don't even have time to register the pain from the electricity until you've already been shocked.
Yeah.
So, I believe... Ooh, look, a fresh crack. Don't get excited, guys. It's only water. Anyways, I believe that if you're in an electric chair, that the electricity would hit you so fast that you'd be dead before you even fucking knew what was going on. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think it's really... I mean, it's much more humane than the gas chamber. I mean, look, I've seen people in the gas chamber on videos like Faces of Death and shit.
Yeah, fuck that.
Which, if you're young, you don't know what Faces of Death is, but Faces of Death used to be a VHS tape where they would actually show you people dying. And there was an episode on Faces of Death where they showed somebody in the gas chamber. And the gas chamber is a chamber that slowly fills up with cyanide. They drop chlorine tablets into ammonia, and it produces cyanide gas, and it slowly fills up the chamber. You die very slowly in excruciating pain.
Right.
So the electric chair was much more humane than the gas chamber. Interestingly enough, Starkweather was the last execution in Nebraska until 1994, when Harold Lamont Odie was executed for murder. So they went a long time in Nebraska without executing anybody, from 59 all the way to 1994. Criminologists and psychologists have analyzed the Starkweather case in an attempt to understand his spree and his motivations and the precipitating factors. It also became notorious as one of the earlier crime scandals that reached national prominence, much like the kidnapping of the Lindbergh's baby. The media outlets at the time covered the case, openly condemning Starkweather. So Starkweather was born in Lincoln, Nebraska. Wasn't there something else that happened in Lincoln? Like a cult or something in Lincoln? What happened in Lincoln, Nebraska? It was some kind of weird something happened in Lincoln. Like a murder, suicide or something? Something about Lincoln, Nebraska.
I don't know.
I can't remember. But anyway, Starkweather was born in Lincoln, Nebraska, and he was the fourth child of 7 children. To Guy and Helen Starkweather. The Starkweathers were a working class family. Starkweather's father was a carpenter, but he was often unemployed because he had severe rheumatoid arthritis. His mom worked as a waitress to help with the family's income. Guy Starkweather admitted at his son's trial to having pushed his son into a window. Later, his wife divorced him on the grounds of extreme cruelty. Thank you. Well, if you're playing the drinking game, that would be a shot right there.
That would.
Yeah. For all of you who don't know what the drinking game is, let me tell you how it works. If I fuck up a word, which lately, you got to admit, Jason, lately I've been good. I have not fucked up a lot.
Been doing better.
But if I fuck up a word, if I stumble over a word, if I can't say cruelty, please feel free to take a shot, a drink of your favorite alcoholic beverage. The more I fuck up, the drunker you shall get, and the better the podcast will be. I find we're a lot funnier, Jason, with a nice buzz.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, of course. So, after she divorced his father, the family was downward mobile. Starkweather's great-great-grandfather was a member of the United States House of Representatives in New York's 21st District. I don't know why that's added in, but okay. So Starkweather attended Saratoga Elementary School, Irving Junior High School, and Lincoln High School. Starkweather later recalled nothing positive of his time at school. He was born with genu varum, a mild birth defect that caused his legs to be misshapen, and claimed he was teased by his classmates because of this and his speech impediment. Although his elementary school teacher said she never recalled him being teased whatsoever by anybody. But
yeah, because
it was the 50s. I mean, you're not going to pay attention.
Motherfuckers in front of the teacher.
Right, and on top of that, it was the 50s. I mean, come on. Or no, even then, if it was elementary school, it would have been like the 30s or 40s.
40s.
So, yeah, the 40s. So come on. You know, first of all, nobody's going to do it in front of the teacher, like you said. Secondly, even if he was teased at the time, everybody was teased in elementary school in the 1940s. Come on, who wasn't?
Everybody's teased in the elementary period.
So, as he grew older and stronger, the only subject that Starkweather excelled in was physical education. He said that's where he found an outlet for his rage against those who had bullied him. Starkweather then became a bully himself, and he bullied those who had picked on him. Eventually, he felt rage against anyone he disliked. Author Ginger Strand argues that his writings from prison suggest a strong element of class envy and bitterness to the upper class. Starkweather actually went from being one of the most well-behaved teenagers in the community to one of the most troubled. His high school friend Bob Von Bush would later recall, "He could be the kindest person you ever met. He'd do anything for you if he liked you. He was a hell of a lot of fun to be around, too. Everything was just one big joke to him. But then he had this other side. He could be mean as hell, cruel even. If he saw some poor guy in the street who was bigger than he was, better looking or better dressed, he tried to take the poor bastard down to his size." By the time Starkweather dropped out of school, his parents and family were reported. Oh my God, I fucked up. Reportedly, there, take another shit. That's a shit. His parents and family were reportedly afraid of him because he had extreme violent outbursts. See, it seems to me that as he was getting older, the insanity was starting to show and come out. I mean, again, it's the 50s. We didn't have the psychological know-how, I guess you would say, that we do now.
Right.
So, you know what I'm saying? It's the 50s. They didn't understand schizophrenia. They didn't understand bipolar. And, you know, this dude sounds like a classic case of bipolar.
Yeah.
Because like his friend said, you know, one minute he'd be happy, go lucky, hell of a party. Next minute he'd snap and he'd be just mean as hell.
Yeah.
And that sounds like a bipolar syndrome where you're one minute you're manic. So you're happy, joking, laughing. Next minute you hate life. You hate people. You hate everybody.
Yeah.
So let's talk about his relationship with this little 14-year-old girl that he was clearly molesting.
Yeah.
I mean,
no shit.
Let's just put it out there. I mean, he was 19, she was 14. He was giving her the dick. I mean, there had to be something wrong with her too, but I mean, you kind of got to take, I mean, I hate to say it, but you kind of got to take it with a grain of salt. She was 14. So at 14, did she know that she was murdering people? Yeah. But at the same time, was she being kind of swayed by a much older guy?
Right, absolutely.
Who she wanted to impress? Of course she was.
And didn't want to piss off.
Right, yeah. So, in 1956, God damn it, I fucked up again. Jesus Christ.
Dizzy sticks.
Please take another shot. Thank you and have a nice day. This episode's not going well. I can't say simple words like cruelty and
playing the drinking game.
I guess. Yeah, if you're playing the drinking game, you're probably half lit by this point.
Mm-hmm.
So in 1956, at 18, Starkweather was introduced to then 13-year-old, Jesus Christ, Carl Ann Fugate.
I think it's Carol.
Carol? Caril? Carol? Is that Carol?
I don't think the girl's name would be Carl.
Carol? Oh, yeah, it is Carol. Okay, we'll go Carol. Okay, Carol. Starkweather dropped out of high school in his senior year and took a job at a newspaper warehouse because it was near Fugate's house. He began to visit her every day after school. I'm sure he did visit her every day. Gave her the old Starkweather Express, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, he did.
He was educating them 13-year-olds. Hey, you know, Jason.
Hey, you know what?
Somebody's got to train.
Fucking famous saying was, "Old enough to drive, too old for me."
Hey, Jason. There's grass on the field. Starkweather's going to play.
Absolutely, he did.
Hole in one. So, Starkweather taught Fugate how to drive.
Yeah, he did.
He taught her how to drive a stick.
Right, for sure.
If you could just shift that, oh yeah, right there in neutral, baby. That's
Shift
it.
that gear, baby.
Mm-hmm. So he taught her how to drive, and one day she crashed the car belonging to Starkweather's father, who had banished Starkweather from the family home. So then Starkweather quit his warehouse job and became a garbage collector. Starkweather began developing a nihilistic worldview, believing that his current situation was the final determinant of how he would live the rest of his life. While he only strived to satisfy his biological needs and acquire power over others. He began plotting bank robberies and settled on a personal philosophy. Dead people are all on the same level. Yeah. I'm not saying you're insane, son, but
this dude's psycho.
a little crazy. Dead people are all on the same level. When you hear somebody...
That's true.
Well, true, but when you hear somebody randomly say that in conversation, it makes you go,
Especially when it's their personal philosophy.
Yeah. So his first murder was late on November 30th, 1957. He became angry at Robert Colvert, a service station attendant in Lincoln, for refusing to sell him a stuffed animal on credit. He returned to the service station several times during the night to purchase small items until he finally came with a shotgun. He forced Colvert to give him $100 from the register. He then drove Colvert to a remote area, and they struggled over the gun, injuring Colvert before Starkweather killed him with several shots to the head. Really, he should have just sold him the fucking stuffed animal.
Yeah.
He caused it himself.
Right.
Right. Just sell the motherfucker the stuffed animal, and you know what? You won't get shot in the face with a shotgun, motherfucker. I mean, goddamn. You caused it yourself.
Right. Had you known, I guess.
Hindsight's 20/20.
Yeah, things I wish I would have known earlier.
Yes. Before being shot repeatedly with a shotgun to the face.
But that just shows you what kind of mental stability we're talking about with stuff.
Yeah.
That he's going to kill a motherfucker over a stuffed animal?
Yeah.
Jesus.
And $100.
Well, he got the 100.
Yeah. He never even got the stuffed animal. That's the sick part about the situation.
Shit.
Yeah. He never went and actually bought the stuffed animal. So then he does this on November. Yes. Okay, there's another shot. November of 1957. So then he doesn't kill anybody again until January 21st of 1958. So...
And that's when all hell breaks loose.
This is when fucking shit hits the fan here. So on January 1st, 1958, Starkweather went to Fugate's home. Fugate's mother and stepfather, Velda, and Marion Bartlett, told him to stay away. He fatally shot them, then clubbed to death their 2-year-old daughter, Betty Jean. Jesus fucking Christ!
Yeah.
So he goes to his girlfriend's house, kills her mother and father, then he beats her 2-year-old sister to death.
Yes.
In front of her.
Yes.
And this, I might have gave Carol a little too much credit. Because after this, Carol's like, "Fuck yeah, this is the kind of thing I like. Here, let's go."
Well, though, at that point, though, like,
at this point,
you're just scared for your own life, I would imagine. You just watch your
true.
2-year-old fucking sister get clubbed to death. Like, I think this dude's probably capable of anything. I might as well just go along.
Yeah, I might as well go along with this shit. So he hid the bodies in the outhouse in the chicken coop behind the house. That's even worse.
Wow.
You're going to throw the bodies in the shitter?
Yeah.
That's fucked. I mean, yeah, killing people's one thing. Throwing them in the shitter after they're dead, that's just disrespectful. Come on, Charlie. Come on now, buddy. Starkweather later said that Carol was there the entire time, but she said that when she arrived home, Starkweather met her with a gun and said that her family was being held hostage. She said Starkweather told her that if she cooperated with him, her family would be safe. Otherwise, they would be killed. A note reading, "Everybody is sick with the flu," was placed in the family home's window. The pair then remained in the house until shortly before the police, alerted by Fugate's suspicious grandmother, arrived on January 27th. When the police broke in, they found no one there in the house in apparent order. A few days later, Charles' brother Rodney and his friend Bob Van Bush searched the house and premises, finding the stashed bodies. The police then issued an alert to pick up both Starkweather and Fugate. Starkweather and Fugate drove to the farmhouse of 70-year-old August Meyer, one of his family's friends, who lived in Bennett, Nebraska. Starkweather then killed him with a shotgun blast to the head. He also killed Meyer's dog. What the fuck did a dog do to you, bro?
He's just going psychic.
Yeah, at this point, he's just like, fuck it, I'm killing everybody in my fucking path.
Yeah.
Anybody gets in my way is dead, motherfucker.
I don't give a fuck what it is. If it's breathing, it's dead.
Yeah. So he fled the area, and the pair drove their car into the mud and then abandoned it. So when Robert Jensen and Carol King, two local teenagers, stopped to give them a ride, Starkweather forced them to drive back to an abandoned storm cellar in Bennett. He shot Jensen in the back of the head. He attempted to rape King, but King put up too much resistance for him to do so. He became angry with her then and fatally shot her as well. Starkweather later admitted shooting Jensen, but claimed that Fugate shot King. Fugate said she had stayed in the car the entire time. The two fled Bennett in Jensen's car. Starkweather and Fugate drove to a wealthy section of Lincoln, where they entered the home of industrialist Chester Lore Ward and his wife Clara. Starkweather stabbed their maid Ludmilla to death, then waited for Laurel and Claire to return home. Starkweather killed the family dog by breaking its neck to keep it from alerting the Wards. Clara arrived first alone and was also stabbed to death. Then Starkweather later admitted to having thrown a knife at Clara, but insisted that Fugate had stabbed her numerous times, killing her.
And see, I feel like the Fugate girl, like I said, she's along with the ride because he's convinced her that if she cooperates, her family's safe. She thinks her family's
still alive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how much of this is him trying to throw shade on somebody else?
It is. Perhaps that's what it seems like to me.
Yeah. It seems to me that Starkweather was a psychopath. I mean, just beyond.
Absolutely.
So, when Laurel Ward returned home that evening, Starkweather shot and killed him. So while Starkweather and Fugate were in the house, the Ward's newspaper arrived. They cut out the front page pictures of themselves and Fugate's dead family. Well, see, now she knows that her family's dead.
Yeah.
These pictures were found on them later, casting doubts on Carol's claim that she didn't know her family was dead. Right. See, so yes, she did know her family was dead the whole time. So it almost seems like, again, I'm back to the point that maybe this bitch was a little bit on the crazy side her goddamn self.
Right.
So, Starkweather and Fugate filled Ward's black 1956 Packard with stolen jewelry from the house in Flood, Nebraska. The murders of the Wards and Finkel caused an uproar within Lancaster County. The flames of public fear were fanned by the era's ongoing panic about juvenile delinquency. Law enforcement agencies in the region sent their officers on a house-to-house search for the perpetrators. Governor Victor Anderson contacted the Nebraska National Guard, and the Lincoln Chief of Police called for a block-by-block search of the city. After several sightings of Starkweather and Fugate were reported, the Lincoln Police Department was accused of incompetence for being unable to capture the pair. Vigilante gangs were formed, and local sheriff Merrill Carnop started forming a posse by arming men he found in the bars. They're like,
hell yeah.
oh, we're going to get you motherfuckers.
Right.
Yeah, we're done with this bullshit. Needing a new car because of Ward's Packard having been identified, the couple came upon traveling salesman Merle Collision, sleeping in his Buick along the highway outside Douglas, Wyoming. After they awakened Collision, he was fatally shot. Starkweather later accused Fugate of performing a coup de grace after his shotgun jammed. Starkweather claimed Fugate was the most trigger-happy person he had ever met. Fugate still denied ever killing anyone. The salesman's car had a parking brake, which was something new to Starkweather. While he attempted to drive away... While he attempted to drive away, the car stalled because the brake had not been released. He tried to restart the engine, and a passing motorist, geologist Joe Sprinkle, stopped to help. Starkweather threatened him with the rifle, and they fought. At that moment, Natrona County Sheriff Deputy William Romer arrived on the scene. Fugate ran to him yelling something to the effect of, "It's Starkweather and he's going to kill me." Starkweather drove off and was involved in a car chase with 3 other officers. He exceeded speeds of 100 miles per hour. A bullet fired by Heflin shattered the windshield, and flying glass cut Starkweather deep enough to cause bleeding. He then stopped and surrendered and was captured near Douglas on January 29, 1958. Heflin said he thought he was bleeding to death. That's why he stopped. That's the kind of yellow son of a bitch he was.
Yeah.
So, Starkweather chose to be extradited from Wyoming to Nebraska. He and Fugate arrived there in late January 1958. He believed that either state would have executed him. He was not aware, however, that Wyoming's governor at the time opposed the death penalty. So he would have actually been better off to stay in Wyoming.
Right.
Starkweather first said that he had kidnapped Fugate and that she had nothing to do with the murders. However, he changed his story several times. He testified against her at her trial, saying that she was a willing participant. Fugate has always maintained that Starkweather was holding her hostage by threatening to kill her family, claiming she was unaware they were already dead. Judge Harry A. Spencer did not believe Fugate was held hostage by Starkweather, as he determined she had numerous opportunities to escape. When Starkweather was first taken to the Nebraska penitentiary after his trial, he said that he believed that he was supposed to die. He said if he was to be executed, then Fugate should be also. Starkweather was convicted after the jury deliberated for only 22 hours for the murder of Jensen, the only murder for which he was tried. On May 23, 1958, he was sentenced to death, and Starkweather was executed in the electric chair at Nebraska State Penitentiary in Lincoln, Nebraska at 12:04 a.m. on January 25, 1959. Half an hour before the execution, the doctor who was supposed to pronounce Starkweather dead, B.A. Finkel, himself suffered a fatal heart attack.
Wow.
Starkweather gave no last words, but in a letter from prison to his parents, he wrote, "But Dad, I'm not real sorry for what I did, because for the first time, me and Carol have more fun." Damn! You psycho motherfucking path, dude. He said he was reportedly indifferent about his impending death and had become resigned to his fate.
Wow.
He was buried in Waiakua Cemetery in Lincoln, as are all 5 of his victims, including the wards. Fugate was convicted as an accomplice and received a life sentence. On November 21st, 1958, she was paroled. In June 1970, or she was paroled in June 1976. After serving 17 and a half years at the Nebraska Correctional Center for Women in York, Nebraska. She settled in Hillsdale, Michigan. Which, of course, she couldn't settle in Nebraska. Jesus Christ.
Right.
But really, if you think about it, she was 14 when she was arrested. So she was, what, 21 when she got out?
No, she served 17 years. She was 31.
31.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was 31. But even then, at 31, she still had her whole life ahead of her, really.
Yeah.
I mean, she was still good. I mean, at 31, in the 70s, hell, you still could have lived a great life at that point.
Right.
But I tell you, we have done a lot of podcasts talking about serial killers and stuff. If anybody deserved to be executed, it was that
This
motherfucker.
dude was just...
Dude was beyond a serial killer.
just
He was
went
just a
absolutely
straight
nuts.
psychopath.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just went on a killing rampage. And like I said, again, it brings me back to the thought that maybe he was bipolar. Because for all of a sudden, for him to just, boom, snap out like that, for like 8 days and start killing random motherfuckers. That sounds to me like he was just on a fucking psycho spree for a minute. Like there was something mentally wrong with that motherfucker.
Yeah, and you were just wrong place, wrong time if you got in his way.
Right. I mean, it didn't matter who, and he had no reason.
Men, women, children, dogs.
Mm-hmm.
He was killing you.
Mm-hmm. And it almost seems like he didn't even have valid reasons for even killing these people. It was just like, you're there.
You're dead.
I need the car. You're dead. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. So people like that ought to be executed or at least, locked in some kind of facility for the rest of their days.
No, like you said, he deserved it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
10 people in 8 days. Yeah. That's a bit much, guy.
Right.
Yeah. So I hope you enjoyed this episode on Charles Starkweather. And we will see you next time.
Later.